The Texas two-step is in full bloom again as a Texas judge and then the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals has struck down DACA, the Dreamers Act, and for Joe Biden trying to keep kids that were brought here as young children, keep them in America as hardworking future citizens, going to school, paying their taxes. But that's not what the Texans want, and that's not what the Fifth Circuit wants. We're going to find out what the United States Supreme Court wants. We break it all down for you. Legal AF After Dark edition. Take a listen.
Popok, I want you to break down what went down in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. They basically struck down DACA, but then they stayed their ruling. What are they trying to do here? I mean, look, they obviously held this rule. They timed this ruling right before the inauguration. They knew what they were doing here, I think, to give Donald Trump maximum leverage. I think this goes to show you that these right-wing courts, they're still out there. And these right-wing lawyers who are affiliated with Trump and are part of the MAGA Federalist Society movement, these people don't go away, right? They've been trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act since Obama passed it, trying to get rid of your health care. They've been trying to get rid of DACA since Obama passed it. They've been trying to get rid of student loan debt forgiveness since Biden introduced it, and they've been successful with a lot of it. They've been trying to block all of the kind of Biden policies at every step of the way. They've pushed this, and then they developed over the past 4 to 5 decades this Federalist Society to build their judges so that they controlled the refs, so that decades later, when they played the game to try to get laws struck down that help the people but don't help the oligarchs or don't help a Christian nationalist type agenda, they own the refs because they picked the refs when the refs were in law school. I know this. They tried to get me. I was in one of these classes where they tried to recruit me for the Federalist Society when I went to Georgetown Law. And I went to one of these classes, I sat on it, and I was like, all right, I'm not doing this. And I dropped it, and it was 2 George W. Bush top people in the George W. Bush. But it appeals to you as a law student because you think to yourself, if I do this, I'm going to go and get a big job out of law school, make a lot of money, be able to pay my student debt right away. That's how they get you. And then before you know it, you're in this whole world. But Michael Popok, I went on a tangent there.
No. I tell people
about the DACA rule.
I tell people going on a tangent is that's how we form the podcast. That's the whole podcast. We like the tangents. And Federalist Society, like you said, trying to recruit, that is the greatest thing, that the worst thing, but the greatest accomplishment of Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society was to focus on judges. That's why we have Court Accountability Action as a collaborative partner over on Legal AF channel. And here is because he focused on that while the Democrats took their eye off the ball. And as you said, got the referees from kindergarten up, right? You know, it reminds me of the old line about the devil. The devil's greatest trick is to convince people that he doesn't exist. And so the greatest trick is that, you know, this conversion process of bringing people through this conveyor belt of the Federalist Society right up to federal judges and then federal judges to Supreme Court judges, and then handpick, again, a Leonard Leo special, handpick 3 Supreme Court justices. It's not that there's Republicans on the United States Supreme Court. It's not that there's Republicans in the Fifth Circuit, the Ninth Circuit, and other places. It's that they're handpicked by the Federalist Society in order to accomplish their agenda. We've always had Republican control over the United States Supreme Court since I was like in my 20s. I mean, you can only count on one hand a Chief Justice that was not a Republican. That's not been the problem. The problem has been when you put together Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, and Kavanaugh, who are all handpicked and supported by the NRA, big oil, and other things, and all passed the litmus test on the social issues that were important to the Federalist Society and to MAGA. That's the problem. And we've never seen that before, where we've just seen the complete manipulation of our federal court system. The Texas two-step, which I only say half in jest, is what we watch over and over again. MAGA runs to a Texas judge. This time it's Judge Cannon, before, you know, or it's Judge Reed, what's Reed's last name? It'll come to me in a minute. Or it's Kaczmarek. They've got their three, Reed O'Connor. There's like the three judges, and then they get their positive ruling that they want, right? Then they take it to the Fifth Circuit, which leans heavy to the right, 2/3 appointed by Trump and people like him. And then you got people like Judge Ho and Judge Andrew Oldham who are trying out for Supreme Court. Pick me with all their decisions. And that's the other reason more cases come up to the United States Supreme Court from the Fifth Circuit than any other district. And we've got 12 of them. And there's a reason for that, because they keep hitting the fire hose and trying to pressurize the Supreme Court. It's like a hockey net where they're just firing 100 pucks at the net, hoping to get 5 or 6 through. Problem is, we're the ones that are the losers in that shot on goal. And so you have this case here. This judge, particularly that the Fifth Circuit just upheld, has had it in for DACA and the Biden administration and the Obama administration, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which has to do with it's the Dreamers Act, forever. He has been ruling against, Hannon has been ruling against it since, let me see here, 2015. He ruled against an expansion of DACA. He's been, so every time, so of course they know, Federalists, MAGA, go to Hannon. Sounds like Cannon, but I'm saying Hannon. Go to him. And that's what the Fifth Circuit just upheld. Now, his ruling only dealt with Texas, killing the program. The Fifth Circuit has said, well, maybe Texas, yes, but we're going to hold off on deporting people. And there's 2 parts to the program. One has to do with work approvals and authorizations. So they kind of split it in half. And what they're finding is that the executive order and these attempts by Biden violated administrative law and the immigration law, because it went beyond what a president can do on their own pen. Not so sure about that. But this is now going to go up to the United States Supreme Court. While this is what you said about the American voter, we don't want to get lost here about what this means. This means that there is a group of, let me get the numbers right. There's a group of, let me 1 second. I just want to look up a stat sheet here that I have. Is it 50,000 or 500,000? I'll get it before I'm done with this. These are human beings, right? These are children, now young adults, who are now have to live in a shadow of fear, right? Instead of being productive contributors to our society, keeping their head down, nose clean, getting their degrees and certificates, hardworking jobs being paid. What do we have to do? We have to give them ulcers and keep them up at night and have them lose sleep and have them keep a bag packed at their front door because they're worried about what some Texas MAGA racist judge thinks about DACA, which is a part of their let's get rid of birthright citizenship, which is another word for the Constitution provides that if you're born here, you're a U.S. citizenship. They give it this ridiculous name. Like when the Republicans won't call the Democratic Party because they call us the Democrats because they think we stole the word democratic. This isn't birthright citizenship. This is a constitutional provision that's been on the books since our Constitution, since at least the 14th Amendment, the series of Civil War amendments that came out. So am I shocked that out of Judge Hannon over to the Fifth Circuit, Texas two-step, up now to the Supreme Court? No. Question is going to be, what is this new center-right that is forming around Amy Coney Barrett? Is she going to side with the Democratic wing of the Supreme Court, with the Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sotomayor and Kagan, and try to drag one more over to that center of universe? Because right now what we're watching is a tremendous tug of war about things that matter in this country. And again, I want to make this clear because some people kind of misunderstood me in a chat I did on Popok Live on Tuesday. I am not a huge fan of Amy Coney Barrett. She has not covered herself in glory. She's voted on the wrong hump side of everything that matters to me, except for a couple of things. However, we have to call it what it is. We don't blow smoke or sunshine here. She has become the center right of the court, and she could be the swing vote. We could be watching the Amy Coney Barrett court for the next 10 years plus, just like we had the Sandra Day O'Connor court and the Kennedy court. She's just to the right of all of them. So this tug of war that we're watching is Amy Coney Barrett over here, and Gorsuch, who is now firmly ensconced in a troika, an unholy troika of him, Alito, and Thomas over here. And this is the push-pull that we're watching, which if you're a Supreme Court advocate, you've got to aim for Amy Coney Barrett. Because if you don't get her, maybe Kavanaugh on occasion, but if you don't get her and on any of these major social issues that matter to moderates, to matter to free-thinking people, then you've really lost. That's what we're going to watch over with the Supreme Court. So again, like you said, they stuck it to Biden. Biden's doing a good job sticking it to MAGA, though. I saw a list that it's the total. We'll talk about it in the next segment. The total number of executive orders that Joe Biden has passed to try to Trump-proof democracy is pushing 40. We're going to cover a few of them today, but he's had a couple of losses here and there. Student loan forgiveness got hit a couple of times. This DACA thing got hit a couple of times. But give him credit for trying. Yeah, that's all you can do. But I'm going to really enjoy the part where we talk about what Joe Biden as a lame duck, empty the tank president has been able to accomplish.
You know, when it comes to the Amy Coney Barrett, Justice John Roberts, Justice Barrett, joining with the 3 liberal justices and forming that 5. Let's be very clear. Amy Coney Barrett, and you said this, look, she's not going to rule on any social issues that will be helpful to liberals. She will, likely make some of the worst rulings there. Her life's work was overturning Roe v. Wade. You knew that about her, though, because she wrote articles about that. That's what she taught at Notre Dame University Law School, like that, where her whole thing was doing that, right? So she did that. She was put in place by people to do that, but she is not really deep into Federalist Society world beyond that. And when it comes to the dictator type stuff, that's where she and John Roberts will hopefully help with some of the liberal justices. They gave absolute immunity with the decision with Roberts and Coney Barrett. There are a lot of people behind the scenes also who said that they thought that that there was going to be some sort of compromise as it related to the 14th Amendment Section 3 ruling, and then some of the other right-wing justices that went back on their word about it. In any event, the question is will Coney Barrett and Roberts wrote that great article talking about how, well, not the great article. He wrote the article where he said that he wants to, that the biggest fears are Donald Trump, essentially, without saying Trump by name, disinformation, people not enforcing what the Supreme Court's saying. So really, Roberts and Coney Barrett may join with some of the liberal justices. Again, that's the best shot that you have in the Supreme Court. They showed that they were willing to do it with Trump's sentencing by not blocking it. We'll see what happens, though.
Welcome back. We sit at the intersection of law and politics twice a week on a podcast we call Legal AF, and now, but that topic, you know why. Join us on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Midas Touch Network for the live recording, the YouTube version. Of course, we're on all the audio podcast platforms of your choice. Brand new channel also in collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, because law and politics is going to be the hottest of intersections starting on Monday. Moving forward for 4 years, come over to Legal AF, the YouTube channel, Legal AF MTN for Midas Touch Network, where I curate some amazing new content we can only put there on Legal AF. Of course, I'm still doing all my work here on the Midas Touch Network as well. So until my next reporting, take that clip, by the way. We need some help growing the audience organically. We don't have any outside investors. Take that clip, send it off, and invite people to join us, because we're people-powered, completely independent, and we're here on the Midas Touch Network. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.